Good evening, prospective students, family, and Marist community. My name is Megan Nickel, and I am a graduating senior. I'd like to thank Dr. Wehrmuth for the kind introduction and the opportunity to speak with you tonight. While I am at the end of my 4 years of college, I can immediately transport myself back to your shoes, lugging my parents to schools that sent me glossy pamphlets in the mail in cities whose names I did not know how to pronounce. I remember comparing the merits of schools close to New York City versus ones with great internship opportunities versus that one with the really cool library that looked like a castle. If you'll allow me, I'd like to avoid statistics and pitches. I would like to tell you about my journey here at Marist, how I have grown into a person with a Marist education and with the support of an entire community. I applied to Marist because the school seemed big enough to offer opportunities, yet small enough that I would not get lost. As I began to study environmentalism, I found the interconnected threads of this field fascinating. With the diversity of majors and academic departments at Marist, I easily picked up minors and grew a network of academic support. I studied political science to better understand the levers of power and how they can be used to enact change. I studied Spanish so that I could communicate with more populations and be an advocate for environmental justice. I became fascinated by Latin America, so I pursued another minor in Latin American and Caribbean studies. While my major is in the School of Science, I became an adopted child in the School of Liberal Arts. An integral part of my education at Marist has been the honors program. After a memorable first introduction, Dr. Snyder remembered my name and was incredibly genuine and helpful every time I spoke with him. He has been one of my most pivotal mentors at Marist. His indefatigable energy and positivity beguiles an academic rigor that has challenged me at every step to think outside of the rules of life I'd assumed were givens. If there is one thing that Marist has in excess, it is opportunities. The summer between my sophomore and junior year, I took advantage of the Albany internship experience. This is a program where students spend 6 weeks living and interning in Albany with a range of nonprofit organizations or in the state legislature. During my internship with Environmental Advocates of New York, I drafted bill memos about environmental legislation, attended press conferences, and even lobbied state senators about plastic bag legislation. The intensive nature of the internship program meant that I was trusted and integrated into the organization. Every semester since, I make it up to Albany to have dinner with the friends and mentors I made during that internship. The following summer, between my junior and senior year, I was selected for another internship opportunity. The Tarver Internship is a program administered by the Marist Center for Civic Engagement and Leadership and is made possible by the incredible dedication of Dr. Gakey and Dr. Schaffer. Each year, students are selected for an intensive, paid internship with a nonprofit organization in the Hudson Valley. I worked with Scenic Hudson, one of the premier environmental organizations in the Hudson Valley, on a pedestrian needs assessment for the city of Poughkeepsie. I collected data about sidewalk conditions, compiled and edited a report, and designed maps using geographic information systems. These materials were provided to the city of Poughkeepsie for the government's use. As I worked intensively on this project for 2 months, I became attached to the idea of accessibility and sense of place in the community. I redesigned the methodology for data collection, proposed changes in analysis, and increased community outreach and stakeholder involvement. It's a source of great pride and fulfillment that I've continued working on this project for my honors senior thesis. By the end of this month, I will have finished a report that records walkability and accessibility on the south side of Poughkeepsie, and I will present it to the Poughkeepsie Common Council for their use. This project, to me, is the embodiment of a Marist education. 4 years of quality classes, mentorships, and opportunities have prepared me to operate as a professional. This work is not theoretical, nor for practice. It is meaningful work that will connect multiple people to a network of support and that will continue on past my graduation. The entire trajectory of my college career changed in March of my junior year when I traveled to Mérida, Mexico for a spring break service trip with campus ministry. 10 students are selected each year to work with La Universidad Marista in Mérida for a week of service and cultural immersion. The university has a community center in the outskirts of the city that provides education, nutrition, and a sense of place to the impoverished community, particularly to the residents of a nearby informal settlement. This experience changed how I view myself, the world, and what I want out of life. It was the first time I had ever stepped outside of the United States, and I absolutely fell in love. During the week of service, we built a greenhouse, an irrigation system, and a fence for the center. For most of the week, I was cloaked head to toe in dirt, covered in bruises from carrying heavy buckets, and loving every second of it. My fledgling Spanish skills meant that I could communicate with the people of Mérida. It became real that my Spanish classes could allow me to learn from another human being in a different corner of the world and to connect with them on the same level. When I returned home, I knew I needed to study abroad. After quick research, I found that every single deadline had passed to apply for the fall semester. That Monday morning, I went to the study abroad office to ask James Marapoyo if something was possible. I sat across from him in his office, likely still with some dirt in my hair from the service trip, and told him of my epiphany and need to travel. Where, I didn't know, but somewhere. He looked at me, then at my transcript, and at the list of deadlines I had missed. He nodded solemnly and said, "Yeah, we can make this work." This prioritization of education over bureaucratic procedures is something that I found common at Marist. 3 days after I finished my Tarver internship with Scenic Hudson, I flew to Costa Rica to study sustainable human development for the fall of my senior year. I lived with a host family and attended classes at a small university. For 2 weeks before the semester began, I lived and worked on a sustainable farm, and during the semester, I volunteered with a network of urban gardens in San Jose. The combined academics and service of this semester taught me about the importance of meaningful and ethical service. I experienced a culture that is different from my own, and my Spanish language skills went from subpar to near fluent. This semester, I returned to co-lead the 2019 campus ministry service trip with my best friend, and I spent my final spring break in Mérida once more. The student team fundraised just over $10,000, and we purchased a screen print for the center to make t-shirts and informational materials for conducting outreach. I served as both translator and leader on this trip. I was trusted to make decisions regarding projects and engagement, and I was partially responsible for the well-being of my team. The opportunity to spend my spring break connecting with another culture and to create something positive in the world is something for which I am forever grateful. This Marist tradition of service has taught me that which cannot be found in books or classrooms. My 4 years of study, work, and mentorships culminated in my application to the Fulbright program. The Fulbright is a grant that allows recent graduates to either teach English or pursue a research project abroad. With the support and sage advice of our fellowship advisor, Pat Taylor, I applied for a research grant to Ecuador. My proposal is to study the formation and implementation of public policy surrounding issues of disability. I have been honored to be named as an alternate for the 2019 year, meaning that should another recipient decline their grant or additional funding become available, I will be spending a year in Ecuador pursuing this research. Without Pat Taylor's unwavering support, I'm skeptical that I would have made it this far in the process. Down the road, I want to work for an international development organization, finding ways for countries in Latin America to improve quality of life for their citizens while still preserving their wealth of natural resources. I'm confident in my ability to navigate this complex field, to understand the diversity of stakeholders, issues, and ethics because of my liberal arts education. Looking back on my 4 years, I can assure you that if you are intellectually curious, you will find a home here. A liberal arts education has meant that I took a class on Zen Buddhism and another class on the ethics of food, a class that was taught mainly on a boat adrift the Hudson River, and ones that have allowed me to connect with the city of Poughkeepsie. The honors program has ensured a breadth of interesting and challenging classes every semester. Marist's small class sizes meant that my professors know my name, and usually my areas of interest. It meant ease of access to office hours and the opportunity for conversations before and after classes. Marist has always been more than a college to me. It is a community of people who share the common goal of trying to help others succeed. What you will find at Marist is a family of people who will go above and beyond to help you learn, grow, and challenge yourself. If you go to Dr. Cackness's office hours and express a vague interest in Indigenous history of Latin America, she will lend you not one, not two, but 10 of her books on the subject, and you will discuss Latin American politics over coffee regularly. And that will lead you to Ecuador, to their exceptional policies for people with disabilities, and to a Fulbright proposal. If you take the time to talk to Dr. Boscarino about how much a topic in her class interested you, she will reach out and ask if you would like to do research with her. And you will get to know her as you spend hours working together, and she will write you endless letters of recommendation. Perhaps you'll have a memorable first introduction with Dr. Snyder, and he will excitedly greet you by name on campus before slipping into an easy friendship and mentorship. And he will sit with you and ponder the big questions about what it means to be a human, and a good one at that. I can tell you that the Marist community will give you an education that goes beyond books. You will have opportunities to serve, to think, and to challenge yourself to be better. I am graduating in confidence that I can lead an ethical and meaningful life, and for that I owe my Marist family a great deal. Thank you.